Welcome to Detective Diaries, brought to you by Private Detectives Answers Investigation. If you're captivated by the art of deduction, the thrill of solving the unsolvable, or the enigmatic world of private investigation, you have just found your new favourite podcast. Detective Diaries are where secrets are unravelled and the truth is always a clue away. Presented by Private Detective Answers Investigation. Each episode contains offbeat conversations about the real people involved in investigation.
Hey Harry, how are we doing? Seems a while since we've sat down and talked about something for the podcast.
I know. It's all just about having a chance to sit down, right?
Yeah, I thought we said 2 o'clock.
I know, I'm just dashing in.
Oh, it always seems a bit mad to me. We work in the same building, but whenever I am around, you are dashing out and some job or other, and same works for me, really.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment, but always difficult to get us in the same room, isn't it?
Yeah, so what are we going to talk about today?
Yes, so I wanted to explore an area which many private eyes don't really get involved in, and that's criminal defence. So for basically people accused of a crime. I know you've got probably quite a few stories and anecdotes.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's an aspect I really enjoy. It is so often methodical and very detail ridden. Legal representation of the person's barrister will deal with the routine legal aspects, but where we excel is finding the odd angles of evidence that support the accused account of things. I mean, not explain that very well, but our job is to make sure that the facts that the defence lawyer is arguing with are solid, or poke holes in them if they aren't. I mean, that takes quite an innovative approach and thinking out of the box.
Yeah, it's a very holistic approach, isn't it, to cases, thinking of all the variables and some variables that perhaps even the legal representation have a thought of yet. There's unseen points which we can explore and hopefully turn into tangible evidence.
Yeah, okay, but before we get into this, I'd like to make something very clear for people who are listening. You watch any crime drama, I mean, I watch them, and inevitably the private eye is going to stumble across the corpse, probably tripping over it, but that's drama. And the perpetrator, obviously, is going to confess right at the very end. But real-life investigative work simply doesn't happen that way. I mean, take the UK, for example. Last year, there were just 535 homicides in the country from a population of nearly 70 million. I mean, you can do the maths. The chances of one person being involved in a big crime like that are minimal. I mean, of that 535, for example, only 130 were unsolved. It's a really, really small chance that you are going to trip over the corpse, whether you are a private eye or not. What is our reality is the multitude of non-violent crimes of which people are accused, and often without a viable defence. That's where we come in. I mean, as a company, we're not restricted to the UK. We've handled cases in Britain. We've also worked for people accused abroad, in Spain, in Morocco, Romania, and elsewhere.
So go on then, time for an anecdote. What's a case you and your colleagues have been involved in?
Oh, absolutely, but no names involved.
Sure.
Although the case did make the BBC News, which is why I can't sort of name too many people. But okay, here goes. Bit of background first. You've got 3 lads who spend a week on holiday in Spain. They stay in an apartment which is owned by one of their mothers. They're good lads, not troublemakers, grown up together. A week enjoying the sun, they spent a lot of time on the local bar strip and became well known in one of the local bars. On the last night of their holiday, they go out for the evening, return by taxi to their apartment. On the same night, 2 people were allegedly stabbed in a bar 300 metres away from where they'd been. When leaving the next day to return to the UK, 2 of them get themselves arrested at the airport on a charge of attempted murder. That had come about as a result of a witness identification. The witness had pointed them out from behind one-way glass. Their friend was allowed to return home to the UK. Now, the Spanish judicial system allows a person arrested for serious crime to be imprisoned without charge for up to 4 years. 5 bail hearings were refused, and both of the lads remained in prison, and it was not pleasant. Spanish prisons are not a place you would wish to be incarcerated, if anywhere. The only evidence in support of their innocence that they could present was their own statements and those of their friend, together with a digital camera, the photographs of which, while not placing them elsewhere at the time of the incident, did support all their statements about their movements beforehand. Repeated bail applications were refused, and they were left in the discomfort of the nearby prison. We were asked to investigate with a view to obtaining evidence that would support the account of their movements. A number of people will be able to give an independent account of their own interaction with the boys. We were asked to investigate, that answers investigation, with a view to obtaining evidence that would support their account of their movements. A number of people would be able to give an independent account of their own interaction with the boys, notwithstanding the small matter of identifying them, locating them, and interviewing them. I mean the witnesses involved. A lot of research was conducted from the UK, looking at the bars concerned, the area, people, including the alleged victims, and the potential for exploring new evidence. The defence was straightforward but very difficult to substantiate. Simply, they had not visited the bar where the incident occurred at all, did not meet the victims or have anything to do with a former incident whereby customers had been allegedly ejected from that bar for taking cocaine in the toilets, or the alleged return of those customers for revenge, which is what they were accused of being. Conscious I'm not explaining this over well, but I'll try. They also did not own or rent the black Seat Leon, which was seen and allegedly being used to make a getaway, having been damaged in the process.
Well, that's quite a significant matter. I mean, how was the car supposedly damaged?
Well, one of the witnesses to the crime claims to have thrown a bar stool at it, breaking the rear window. I mean, it all sounds very dramatic. It sounds like a crime drama now. But at the time of the crime, our boys, our lads, they were at home in their own apartment, which belonged to one of their parents. Having researched and met with a number of witnesses in the UK who had been in the area and at locations, we began to build a timeline for not only the accused, but also their friend and the victims in order to substantiate their own account of their movements before and after the incident. 3 of us visited the area, which enabled other evidence to be substantiated. We identified from research further witnesses as a result of local inquiries there. More witness statements were obtained. I think we took 13 in 3 days.
Right.
And other leads gained, which would identify further witnesses who had since returned to the UK. Bear in mind, this is very much a holiday area.
Right.
A lot of the people there have been British, and of course they've gone home, after the first time. One of our first actions was to interview the friend who had been on holiday, the one who had not been arrested. The only statement that had been taken from him had been in Spain. It had been a very brief one through an interpreter who was apparently not very good.
Right.
While he was there in Spain, he was able to give an account to us where one of the accused had been at the time of the incident, which helped us to build, together with statements of other witnesses from whom we had researched, identified, located, interviewed. He was able to give us a full account of his movements over a 36-hour period, none of which placed him anywhere near the scene or his friends. We obtained a full and comprehensive statement. However, it remained difficult to independently verify it.
I can imagine that verification is quite crucial here.
Oh, absolutely. The Spanish police refused to accept any statement evidence, saying it wasn't supported. Right? So one of the items that had been presented in evidence was a digital camera. It belonged to the friend who was on holiday with them, so he still had it. We took about 250 odd photographs of it, which spanned the period of their visit, and it substantiated the movements and everything that they had, legitimately and honestly said. The photographs retained date and time properties. However, the police response, they just turned around and said, "Oh well, that could have been amended, it could have been changed, it could have been altered," so they didn't accept it.
Right.
Important thing was to substantiate that those photographs were taken at the time that they said they were.
Yeah.
So combining examination of the camera with visits to the locations, we were able to produce calculations that substantiated that time and date properties, verified the times and the dates on the pictures, and therefore made it admissible.
I can see the complexity arriving here. I mean, how do you even go about making those calculations?
Okay, now you are really taxing my ability to explain something, but I'll try to explain it simply. Right, before we travelled to Spain, we had a download for the digital camera and we extracted all the time and date properties. When I happened to be doing some computer forensic work with a colleague on another issue, who handles all our computer forensics, he's got a very analytical brain. And he showed me access to a website that can produce shadow calculations. Okay. Essentially, it is this. If, and this is where I'll try to put this simply, if, say, you have object A that is 2 meters tall in the sun at, say, 11 a.m. local time on the 15th of July, at a set coordinate, latitude and longitude, the shadow will be, say, 1 meter tall. Okay, got it? Right. The website I'm talking about, and there are others, shows the factor of any time and date by inputting the date, the time, the same coordinates. So, for example, perhaps showing that the same object in the same place on the 15th of December, not 15th of July, will have a shadow that is, say, 0.55 the length of the shadow measured on the 15th of July, or whatever the variance is.
Okay.
I'm struggling. Okay, if you put the objects of the same height in the same place, but on a different day and time, that shadow calculation would be that for the original 1 meter shadow, the shadow should be 55 centimeters, or that factor of 0.55. Okay, I know that's a little bit confusing.
Okay.
Essentially, we visited the location of 2 of the photographs. One was on the roof of the apartment block, so that was easy, and the other on the street en route to a place they had visited. One of the photographs on the roof had been of the lad who wasn't arrested, so we knew his exact height. Well, we measured his exact height, and could then measure the shadow of something of the same height, noting the date and time when we took a reconstructive photograph.
Right.
The other was a shadow of a 3-story building. Now, to find out the height of the building, because it's 3 stories high and you can't exactly get a tape measure out, I managed to gain access to the roof, which I won't talk about. But then, having got on top of the roof, leaned out, used a laser measure, you know, one of those red liney things.
I'm with you.
Yep. I'm sure it's got a technical name. But to measure the height.
Yes.
Okay, so using mathematics, we could assess the length of its shadow in the donor photograph. Do you remember Pythagoras?
Pythagoras theorem.
Okay, you know, the sum of 2 sides and so forth, and you know, having worked all that angle out, could work out how long that original shadow was, reconstructed it, compared the two, got the factor. Okay.
I'm with you. You're very much explaining and demonstrating this unorthodox solution here. I mean, what does the upshot and conclusion get to then?
Okay. Our calculations, I'm so proud of this, our calculations were 99.8% accurate.
Excellent.
Proving that the evidential photographs were taken at the time that they were said to have been done, and it could not be refuted. I'm not sure the Spanish judge quite got it, but there was a lot of supportive material that went in, and that evidence then went in at the next bail hearing.
So what other evidence was there?
Right, well, okay, go back. Do you remember what I was saying about inconsequential detail? I mean, so often when we take a witness statement, and we're very good at it, one of my colleagues is absolutely fantastic, he's done it for years, it's getting those little things out of somebody. Not everybody remembers a big event, it's what was happening around, and I don't know what sort of scarf somebody was wearing. They're the things that lead authenticity to anyone's testimony. The common scene you'll see in TV dramas is a suspect in an interview room, he's being interviewed by the police, he says, "Oh, I was watching television last night." immediate question that interviewer will ever commonly ask is, what was on? What was the programme on? Because it kind of substantiates if he knows it or if he doesn't know it, more importantly, because he's trying to catch him out. An incidental comment in the friend's witness statement that we took, and that took a long time, very detailed. But an incidental comment he made was that he had been talking with one of the accused in their apartment at the time of the incident, and that their other friend had been asleep, they'd heard him snoring, and the apartment was some 10 kilometres distant from the incident scene. Bear in mind, they haven't got a car, apart from this alleged black Seat Leon, which seems to be a matter of fiction. While the friends talked, they'd been aware of the apartment TV on in the background. They weren't watching it. And while they weren't watching it, they were aware of the film that was on. And after a while, he said, I think it was that film with George Clooney, The Three Kings, that was playing. When we were in Spain, we got access to the apartment TV, got all the menu and so forth up on it, and we were able to verify what television channels that it could obtain. And with a bit of research going back over prior TV schedules, guess what? TV2, at the time they were saying, Three Kings was the programme that they had broadcast on that night. And and we could show that. It took snapshots of the screen and and the programme listings. I mean, on top of that, we also tracked down, I think it's about 13 witnesses that the authorities had failed to find or let alone interview, and all of them corroborated the boy's story.
So quite a substantial amount of work. What's the outcome then?
Well, in a movie, there'd be some dramatic ending. There never is one in real life. The authorities wouldn't give way. However, with a change of lawyer, supported by our evidence and our findings, both of the accused were released from prison after what was the 7th bail hearing. They were never subjected to trial, but under Spanish law, remained on bail. It's ridiculous, for up to 4 years, and even then they can just renew it. However, eventually they were, thankfully, allowed to return to the UK.
You make it seem almost straightforward.
What, with that convoluted explanation? No, I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't. There was weeks of attentive work involved, turning the sparse evidence over, looking for a route. While we did visit Spain, we had to see the locus, to interview witnesses there. The intensity was demonstrated when we were there by the fact that at the end of the trip, we realised that not one of us had actually seen the sea, which was 100 metres away. Oh, seriously, we were doing like 16 hours a day on it.
So heavily involved, I can imagine.
Anyway, Harry, come on, you must have a tale to tell. Your turn.
Do you know what? Actually, I was thinking about this as we were listening to a rather wonderful story there. I remember a fairly significant case which we were involved in. We were tasked by legal counsel essentially to assist in obtaining evidence for an accused yacht club member. It was a fairly prestigious yacht club in central London, and the accused, the male, was stated to have sexually assaulted another female member. So you can imagine quite alarming statements from the offset there. Essentially, obviously, sensitivity, utmost importance. We need to obtain the evidence, but factor in the significance of those allegations as well. So we obtained the report of the accused, essentially giving an account.
Hang on a minute. Sorry. He's sexually assaulted her. I mean, without getting us x-rated. How?
Yeah, we've got to keep us on air somehow by saying this. So essentially it involved the accused putting his hand underneath and between the victim's skirt, essentially placing his hand on her lower area, let's say, her crotch.
So what, and this is just like a yacht club? Or?
A very prestigious yacht club happening right outside the front door, and essentially involving the members there as well.
Okay, was he drunk?
Lots of alcohol involved.
Okay, drunk and other things. All right, sorry. Anyway, sorry, you carry on. I interrupted.
No, that's okay.
I'll interrupt anybody.
So, of course, we get this account, and the thing I should stress to listeners out there, of course, we are on the side of the accused here in the sense of we are obtaining evidence for them. You must understand it from both sides of the coin. So how do you do that? Well, we start off by going to the yacht club itself. Essentially, we go on the grounds, try and speak with managerial staff there, and it was very, very clear from the offset that the yacht club was essentially protecting itself, being quite uncooperative, not providing people to speak with, specifically, managers. We did eventually get to speak to one of the executive directors.
Let me guess. It's not the club's policy.
It's not the club's policy,
Okay, yeah,
exactly.
of course,
It's not our
yeah.
problem as well, unfortunately. So you do get a lot of that. So essentially, when we're speaking with the managerial staff, they said that they have a CCTV camera. And this was something we noted when we got the schematics of the building. Obviously cameras, not necessarily on the yacht club as well. We obviously look at the opposite side of the road to see if there's any coverage, but it came down to this one camera at the yacht club. A rather convenient statement was made, essentially saying that the CCTV camera was not theirs and that it belonged to the adjacent embassy. So of course we need to go and speak to this embassy.
I won't ask which embassy.
Yes, I'm not gonna name that one. I think that'd be a little bit too on the nose. So of course you take this information.
It wasn't the Russians, was it?
Oh no, it wasn't the Russians. Okay. No, we're thankful here.
Shall I stop interrupting?
So we have this information in mind, approach the embassy, discuss the camera, and essentially that takes a bit of time. Embassies are quite secure places. I know you've had experience in working in some of them as well. Mm-hmm. It takes a little bit of time to get in and speak to the right people. Once we did, we got to speak to the head of security and explain the severity of the situation. He agreed to show us all of the camera footage from the building. As it turns out, that camera belonged to the yacht club. We had been lied to. And obviously very interesting when querying the specific camera with the club, how all the comments were made very quickly to say, it's not ours at all.
So hang on a minute. So there's one camera which has got whatever happened on it. They say it's not theirs. Mm-hmm. And the embassy taking on a tour around, I guess, on the outside of the building.
Absolutely.
And the head of security, who I would imagine is somebody who really knows what they are doing, says, no, that's not our camera.
Right, not their camera at all.
Okay.
And it's quite interesting because you can take the authority of that person, seeing as the embassy actually owned the building to the yacht club as well. So they had all of this information, they knew exactly what was going on, and of course, yes, we had been lied to. So we go back to the yacht club, of course, you can imagine their faces when we start trying to burst in. They essentially refused to let us gain any further entry to the property, refused to speak with us, prevented any further inquiries being conducted on site. But of course, much to their surprise, we'd actually done that work already, obtained the witness statements from the hospitality staff who'd worked on the evening in question.
So it makes the evidence that they've probably given seem a little bit weak.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the thing is of course, you've got to bring everything into question, but when you've got a quite uncooperative site, it does start raising suspicions. So essentially from here, we undertook an on-site reconstruction as well. This was to evaluate the statements made by the victim and essentially to explore whether or not the account could have physically happened. Of course, you don't actually know.
An on-site reconstruction of what?
The actual sexual assault taking place. So obviously quite graphic when you look at it. It was myself and a colleague, and her name's Anna. She's wonderful. We obviously sat down and spent a lot of time planning this out, making sure everyone was comfortable, making sure that obviously there weren't too many onlookers.
Okay. I've got to speak on your behalf. I know you very well. I know nothing wrong would have gone on with that.
Exactly. Yeah, we may laugh and joke about a lot of things, but when you're looking at something so serious as it is, it has to be done professionally. So we put together this reconstruction, explored the account. It did raise some doubts because there was an interesting point about how this occurred on the curbside to the property, and certain measurements were taken about where that was and sort of positions of these people. So we go through all of that evidence and produce all of the reports. And it actually turns out that the complainant had been stated to have taken drugs that evening. Hospitality staff gave a lot of accounts about how essentially this victim was almost causing part of the argument herself as well.
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about that one because that doesn't make it her fault.
Oh no, absolutely not. And yes, that the point is that again, her account was as she gave it. The point is that anyone's account, including the complainant and also the perpetrator, when you've got drugs and alcohol going involved, it does muddy the waters quite a lot there.
Solicitors have this, don't they? I mean, lawyers can't put their own feelings into something. I mean, I'm not condemning one party or the other party.
Of course, no.
But they can't put their own opinions into something unless they have been told directly. I mean, it's like the old one a duty lawyer going into somebody's cell and the accused saying, "Oh, I might have done it, Gov, but get me off it."
Yeah.
He can't enter a plea of not guilty because his client has admitted it to him, and
Exactly.
that same kind of quandary of when even somebody doesn't say that, and I know where I'm going with this, and I'm sure anybody listening does as well.
It's being that thing of duty bound, isn't it? But of course, there's a lot of issues here about the whole power and status, and there were other aspects of the accounts essentially stating that the complainant was actually part of a prestigious family involved with the club. So there was lots of hierarchy elements involved, a lot of people perhaps covering for other parts of the parties involved. So again, what you're looking at is something which on the surface can be a very genuine accusation coupled with evidence, but by speaking to everyone involved, there were lots of questions and doubts about the accounts given by essentially all parties concerned.
Before we go any further and stay with this, and I don't want to lose sight of the subject, but just talking of, I've got this whole kind of quandary thing, a moral issue running back through my head again, and thinking about something like this. Thinking about, okay, the girl might have taken substance, whatever she's done, that doesn't necessarily make her to blame for something that has happened.
Precisely, yeah.
Okay. It may be indicative of the nature of the complaint and so forth, but that's an entirely different issue.
Yes.
And we do get stuck with this moral issue sometimes. And most times, because you are, in this case, working for the client's defence, we're instructed by solicitors, you have to do what the solicitor does and push it to one side a little bit.
Sure.
Remain neutral, remain factual.
Yes.
Do you know, there's something that sticks in my mind, and it wasn't too long ago. We were dealing with a computer investigation. We got all these deleted files back out of a computer, back out of a laptop, and there were elements on there which were not very savoury. And I'm not just saying something unsavoury; they were frankly illegal.
Right.
I'll say quickly, we weren't in this case talking about child pornography, but the guy did rather like animals a little bit too much, and perhaps a little bit too affectionately, and I've probably said too much with that. Point of it is that it transcended across a moral line. Now, confidentiality to us is massively important. We will always happily sign a confidentiality agreement. There is a paragraph in there, I know, which I couldn't quote, but it does say, in the event that you've got something illegal, a client has got a responsibility to report it. Now, it's never happened, but I can remember in this instance, I said, look, this is the content. It is illegal content. It is your content. You have to tell somebody. You have to tell the police. And the person concerned was, oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. To which we had to say, if you don't, we will have to.
Yes.
And it was not an easy moment. I mean, in the end, they saw common sense, and yes, that is what they did. But all the time I can remember going, hang on, we've got confidentiality on this side, and we've got doing the right thing and the moral issue on the other side.
It's a minefield, isn't it? Because, exactly that. We're sort of duty bound to report when you have this criminal aspect involved or something illegal involved in the evidence that you're obtaining. But of course, you're balancing that with the act of staying true to the client's wishes, confidential, and reporting just. But when you get that blend of the two, you have to take the high road. You have to, as you say, transcend the case and look at what is morally right and correct to do.
I'll tell you what the lesson with that is. If you ever come and listen to this podcast and you want to hear two people just going off on an entire tangent, what are we talking about? Oh, criminal defence. This private members club, whatever. What happened in the end?
Yeah, back to the yacht club. So it was quite difficult because, as I said before, it comes into that case of muddying the waters. You can't get a true account from someone. So essentially, QC at the time and the police essentially ended up dropping the matter entirely. We provided evidence to say all parties concerned are probably problematic, but at the same time, there was not enough cooperation or evidence to substantiate the essential victims' claims at the time.
So the charges got dropped?
Charges got dropped.
Was everyone concerned happy about that? I mean, the defendants, the complainants, the CPS, police?
I mean, it did transpire that once things had sort of watered down, that the complainants came back with this sort of new view that perhaps things had spiraled out of control, and basically went and reflected again on everything that had been provided. I think everyone was thankful for the matter to essentially be dealt with and gone away. So as I say, CPS dropped the charges and police took no further action.
Harry, I'm looking at the time, which is disappointing because I said at the beginning of all this about never being involved in murders because it's unlikely. However, I did collate defence evidence in one once and I wanted to talk about it, but there's no time left.
I hear part 2 coming along then.
Yeah, do you know what? I can talk for hours on this subject. I know you can. And I've got a number of cases to relate. So, should we do that?
Absolutely, let's do it again.
Okay. Just as a little summary, though, criminal defence work as a private detective does not normally involve high drama. I mean, it is interesting and it has surprising little side issues that happen, but it doesn't have much in common with an Agatha Christie plot, or assembling the suspects in one room and making a dramatic reveal at the end. In reality, it's often days of detailed research, practical evidence proving, visiting witnesses, recording statements, using them to uncover those small aspects that may be expanded to corroborate evidence, like those calculations of how long a shadow will be, what was on television on a particular night, or even getting the witness to record it, or how long it takes to walk from A to B on a wet January day, but that's a story for another time. Or as you've described, reconstructing an event to see if it's feasible, and checking the words of a supposedly impartial witness.
Exactly. It is all of those small details that culminate in the evidence that you need for a case.
Right, part 2, if I can tie you down and you can tie me down.
That's going to be a struggle.
Harry, am I any good at this?
What do you mean, are you any good at this?
This whole investigator thing, is it working out for me? You've been doing this since prehistoric times.
Well, I'm not that old, but I tell you what, I think you're amazing. I think people should come and listen to the whole conversation where we discuss surveillance with someone who's had a few months of experience versus a few years. Listen now on Detective Diaries.
Again, a thank you to all of our listeners who have liked, subscribed and recommended us. Listen to Season 2. Coming up, Part 2, of course, of this episode on criminal defence work. A historic delve into the life of Frederick Aberline, the lead detective in the Jack the Ripper case. A fascinating interview with criminology lecturer Emma Short. Part 2 of our conversation with James Lupton and more of his interpreting experiences in Colombia, together with a second visit to the Guildford Shakespeare Company and a wealth of insights into the world of private investigation and the many secrets of our profession. Please contact us. We'd genuinely love to hear from you. You can send an email to podcast@private-detectives.co.uk. The email's in the show notes. And if you have missed any episodes, they're all available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you haven't heard it, listen to Season 1. And now, our sign-off message. Keep listening, and until next time, stay curious and keep seeking the truth.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast, brought to you by Answers Investigation and UK Fingerprint. If you've enjoyed our conversation and want to learn more about the fascinating world of investigations, be sure to check out Private Detectives Answers Investigation. Their experienced team offers a wide range of discreet and professional services, helping you find the answers you need with integrity and expertise. If you're interested in fingerprint analysis or require specialist fingerprint services, don't miss UK Fingerprint. As one of the leading fingerprint companies in the UK, they provide everything from identification to background checks, working with individuals, businesses, financial institutions, and gambling companies. To find out more, visit www.private-detectives.co.uk, that's a minus sign, and www.ukfingerprint.co.uk. These are your go-to resources for investigative solutions and fingerprint expertise. You can call their office on 020 7158 0332. Thanks once again for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious and keep seeking the truth.